You ever get that sensation of deja vu? Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I'm Andrew. Today I got another book tag for you. But before we get into that book tag, make sure you are liking and subscribing and hitting that bell notification so you can get regular updates for when I put out new content. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that said, guys, today is a book tag. I'm going to be doing the Deja Vu Book Tag. I was not tagged in this by anybody that I know of. However, my good friend John Walker, this is his original tag, and I just saw it and I really wanted to do it. It's a pretty short tag, so it's pretty simple, and it kind of covers some topics that I don't normally cover when I'm doing my book tags. And so I thought, why not? And then, of course, I'm going to tag some people at the end. So, without letting me ramble on and on and on, let's get into this amazing book tag. All right, so starting out. Number 1, do you reread, and how often? Yes, I do in fact reread. However, it just because since joining BookTube, I'm trying to constantly put out new content, and I've got a large backlog of books in my history. Most of them I couldn't even tell you the names of stuff I've read in the past. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books, so I don't reread often. I am currently in the middle of a couple rereads. But it's very rare that this opportunity comes up for me in order to reread the books that I have on my shelves. Most of this is acquired within the last year. BookTube is bad for my wallet! All right! Why do you and why don't you reread? Well, I kind of answered this one in the first, so I guess I kind of jumped the gun here. But basically, like I said, time is of the essence. There's always so much more fantasy. I do have a few favorites. So I do like to reread occasionally. It's kind of what prompted a couple of my rereads. I just like to basically reread books with my friends and then just kind of gush about them with them. And it's fantastic. So yes, rereading can be a great, rewarding experience. All right, it's time for number 3. All right, see, we're moving right along here. We're fine. We're good. What have been your favorite books to reread? I direct your attention to the Wheel of Time logo on the wall. That said, guys, Wheel of Time is, of course, I've reread this series many, many times. I started reading it back when book 11 was coming out. Maybe when book 10 had recently come out is when I started. I think it was around 2003 when I first started the series. And so over the course of many, many, many years, I think 18 years, I've read the first 11 books at least 3 times. And then I think I've completed the series once or twice. Because I didn't finish the series until much later. But I have read a lot of Wheel of Time. So that's going to be the answer for this prompt. And I have no regrets. So we're going to kind of stack that right there so I can do some drumming. No, I'm not. All right. Let's see. 3.5 or 4, depending on how you look at it. Would I like to reread? Now, I purchased these as... I didn't purchase these. I was gifted these as a Father's Day gift this year. And that would be the Otherland series by Ted Williams. I forget, it has an actual name, and one of these days I'll actually remember it. But Ted Williams is one of my favorite authors. I read Otherland at least 4 times when I was younger, and it's just, I've never finished the series. I've got all 4 books, and so I'm hoping next year to get to this series, finish it out, so I can finally say without a shadow of a doubt that I have read the Otherland series. I think it's like Dreamers in Glass or something like that. I don't know. Who knows what that series is called? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, so for number 4, what book do you predict will be so good that you will want to reread it? That's actually a book I am about a third of the... No, wait. 25% there, so I'm a fourth. I'm a fourth of the way through this book. I'm currently reading this book. This is Guns of the Dawn by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I thought that this was going to be Bloodsong, but no, so far I am 225 pages into Guns of the Dawn, and my gosh, is this book fantastic. It's so good. There are so many themes and and Emily's amazing. The main character, the story, the writing, the prose, the book structure, everything about this. I cannot believe I have waited until this year to start reading Adrian Tchaikovsky. I'd heard of Children of Time, like back in 2019, and I was like, man, not a lot. Like, it's good. Like, people are talking about it. But what? Like, Guns of the Dawn has been out since 2015, and I'm just now reading this? This is so freaking good. So I'm definitely going to be doing a dedicated review on that when I finish it, and then you can bet your backsides I will be reading it again. Alright, so that was number 4, so that means it's time for number 5. Pick a book from your younger years that you would be interested to reread. And actually, I kind of toiled, I almost went Terry Brooks' Shannara, because I do need to reread this. I read this as a child, but my actual choice here was The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I first read this when I was 10 years old, and I remember loving it. I read my paperback copy. It's this god-awful paperback copy that fell to pieces. I had to like tape the front cover back on. It was just an absolute mess. But I remember thoroughly enjoying the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And I think the last time I reread this series was 10 years ago. It's been a hot minute since Andrew reread the Lord of the Rings. And frankly, I feel like my wizard status is in jeopardy if I don't. And so it is on the list to be reread. I've got these gorgeous Alan Lee illustrated editions, and I would just love to dive right back on in. Alright, so that was number 5, which means it's time for number 6. Alright, tell us a series or book that's so big and complex that you need to reread to better understand. I'm not going to go with the obvious choice here. I've already mentioned Wheel of Time. So, I could have gone with Dark Tower by Stephen King. I could have gone with that. Instead, I decided to go with the Legacy series. Specifically, I've only read the first book so far. But the first 120 pages on this, it just throws so much political intrigue, so many characters, so many plot lines, so much history, that you kind of get, like, overwhelmed right out of the gate with Legacy of Ash. There's actually, on the back of the book, Ali Risdale, she reviewed this back when her channel was under the name of Book Binge. She's since rebranded, but she let me know that there was a website for the author on the back of the book, and there was resources there. So I went on the resources, did some reading on there, like I kind of read to where I was, and it kind of explains it out, plot point, really simplifies it for you. And then I went back and I jumped back in, and I really, really loved Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. So this, I think, would benefit from a reread because, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's a trilogy, but I just dropped my wand, guys. I'm gonna have a Ron Weasley and be spitting slugs later. But look at that. That's a trilogy. And there's my head for comparison. Look at my head! Alright. We're gonna stack that right there. I hope my wand's not broken. Otherwise I can't cast spells. And we're gonna move on to number 7. Number 7 is there a specific genre that you think has the best, worst for reread potential? For me, mystery doesn't have the strongest reread. I like a good thriller. I think thriller works really well for reread, but once you know the mystery, especially like an Agatha Christie whodunit, it's kind of hard to enjoy those because you kind of know after your first reread of those, like you're like, okay, I get it. But fantasy, there's always so much to pull from fantasy. I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I don't read a lot of literary stuff. Mainly I am sci-fi and fantasy with the occasional thriller, or I'm actually starting to branch into historical fiction, which is kind of why I like Guns of the Dawn so much, which I mentioned earlier. I just love that historical fiction feel. I love it, love it, love it! Alright, sorry. I didn't mean to get so energetic right there. But, yeah, so I'm going to go with fantasy and sci-fi just because those are my bread and butter. Let's see. Reread potential. Okay, is there a book you like more upon... Oh, is there a book you liked more upon reread? I can read. I can speak the English. And we're going to go with the only thriller that I really ever talk about on my channel. And that's going to be the Pendergast Cabinet of Curiosities by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. This is one of my favorite thrillers. This is one of my favorite books of all time, honestly. I don't talk about it on the channel a whole lot because it is thriller and I do focus mainly on fantasy and sci-fi. But, I mean, Pendergast here, the whole aspect of this, like the setting, the themes. When I was a kid, I was fascinated with Cabinets of Curiosities, which were kind of precursors to museums and things of that nature, and that really delved into this, and I did a lot of research into them, and a lot of oddities. I liked, like Ripley's Believe It or Not would be technically a Cabinet of Curiosities, just as an example. But yeah, so I thought that was really, really cool, and we're going to go with this one. It's really awesome, and I think everybody should at least read the first 7 books, but stop reading after that, because the series really tanks in quality. Alright. More upon reread, so that's 8.5. I'm going to call it 9, but is there a book you liked less upon reread? I recently reread the Dragonlance Chronicles by Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. I read this series probably 3 or 4 times as a teenager, and as an adult, it just doesn't, I'm a lot more well-read. And I guess I remembered this story differently, and so nostalgia is a hell of a thing. And so when I went back and I reread this, it just did not quite hold up as well for me, and the entire trilogy is maybe a 3 out of 5 for me. So I recommend it to people who like tabletop games, D&D, Pathfinder, all that. This is great for that. But if you're looking for actual fantasy, you're gonna be kind of left a little wanting here, mainly because it's dramatized rolling of the dice, or novelized rolling of the dice. But let's see, number 9. So this is the last one. I'm going to call it number 10, because I've already said 8.5 is number 9, and I've put my foot in my mouth. If you reread, let us know a book you'd like to reread before the end of the year. Well, it is close to the end of the year, and I'm actually in the middle of 2 rereads. I am currently rereading Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I last read this in 2015. So long ago! Feels like a lifetime ago. I've been really enjoying the reread. I've noticed my rating has not changed. So my feelings on the series as a whole have not changed, which is good. That means it's got staying power. Huzzah! And guys, I love Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. If you like classic fantasy, it's kind of like a bridge between Tolkien and A Song of Ice and Fire. This slots right in the middle. It's a bit of a darker fantasy, but it's still epic. It's still got those classic Tolkien themes and tropes. I love this. And then I'm also in the middle of a reread of Iconoclast by Mike Shell. I'm currently reading this as a read-along in the Wizardly Duo Discord, which of course will be in the description down below. I am going to be talking to the author in a few months. I am super excited. I just read this and I'm already doing a reread. So I think that this is a really good series and I really, really enjoy it. Alright, that means it is time. We have come to the end! Tag your friends. Alright, well, I am going to tag somebody who is a new mother. As a new parent, I kind of like to revisit my nostalgia. I don't know, words. I like to revisit nostalgia as a parent to think of what my kid would like. So I'm going to tag Jessie May in this tag because I think that she would have great answers for this. I'm also going to tag one of the Nostalgia Kings. That's going to be Alan from the Library of Alexandria. He is always talking about nostalgia from video games or the books he read as a teenager. And so I really want to see his answers to this question. And then if Alan's the king, I'm going to tag the Emperor as well. He doesn't get tagged very often, but lately there has been a cry to tag this individual. And so I'm going to take a stab at it, and I'm going to tag Mike from Mike's book reviews, because he's always talking about, I read Michael Crichton when I was younger, or I read Stephen King when I was younger. I love Mike. Mike's great. And so I'm going to tag him in this as well. And then, of course, I've got to tag my good friend Sarah from Sarah Reads. We've had many discussions, she and I, about books that we liked as a kid and how the impact hits differently when you're an adult. And she's just an amazing and just fantastic booktuber. I love talking with Sarah, so I'm going to tag Sarah in this as well. That said, guys, that is the end of the tag. If you liked it, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. I will have all of these questions in the description if you feel like doing this tag yourself. We do have a tag channel in the Discord. You can always drop in and do a text-based tag instead of a video tag if that's more your speed. If you want to support the channel on a more regular basis, you can always click that Patreon link in the description down below. Your support is always appreciated. Of course, it is not mandatory, but I appreciate you all. That said, guys, till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I would love to give a huge, huge thank you to my patrons.